Oh, hi. Welcome back, folks. Let's start the next case. This is number 24. The truth hurts. Yes, it does. Currently have my local news on right now. Matthew, when we first heard of the Higher Truth, I dismissed them as a bunch of weirdos. After all, we're talking about a cult that worships a satellite that fell in the forest like it's some kind of divine messenger. And it didn't take us long to figure out their leader, Stephen Crow, is actually out to his cult members' money. Except now, thanks to Gabriel infiltrating the cult, we also know Crow intends for everyone to commit mass suicide in 2 days. Matthew, we need to step in and stop Stephen Crow now. Indeed, Gabriel just sent a message. The Higher Truth has a booth in the Old Town's annual New Age Fair, and Stephen Crow himself is there. They probably intend to recruit a few more people before what they call the release. There's not a second to lose, Matthew. We need to go to the fair.
Affords strong protection for workers. Signed a bill into law last month giving employees a 30-day limit to code and paying fees each year.
The United States Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy announced his retirement today. It's effective the end of June. He was nominated by President Reagan in 1988, and once he leaves, that will open the door for President Donald Trump to name his second Supreme Court justice since taking
I don't think that's Gabriel.
Talented, highly educated, highly intelligent, hopefully tremendous people. I think the next is very outstanding.
a new justice.
Oh my God, it's Stephen Crow.
The Senate is being asked to not consider immunity until after the midterm elections, when Democrats could take control. The team should be made up of people who can
Cardboard box. Pigeon.
Precedent.
Cat.
That's the kind of justice I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a Republican justice.
They're now concerned the court could overturn Roe versus Wade. On Twitter today,
Oh my goodness! Matthew, that's Stephen, but he's dead! And judging from the way he's been stabbed in the eyes with his own earrings, this was definitely not suicide. He's been murdered. So much for arresting him for inciting his followers to commit mass suicide. Someone got to him before we could. What's going to happen with the release now? You're right. Our priority is to make sure the cult doesn't go ahead with it. We need to talk to Gabriel about all of this. We could also use some clues. Hopefully that cardboard box will contain one. Let's dig in. Matthew, we thought arresting Stephen Crow would finally give us the answers we seek about the cult. But now we'll have to find answers to solving his murder. Let's get to work.
Represents about 11,000 workers statewide. Contracts expire on Saturday.
Already under investigation, Office of Hawaiian Affairs Trustee Rowena Akana is suing the State Ethics Commission.
Okay, I'm gonna get some stars, so sit tight, everybody.
By investigating how she
As a matter of fact, I got 1 star, so let's see what Gabriel has to say.
by using her discretionary funds to pay for the cable.
Matthew, what's going on? Why did you call me to the office? This'll blow my cover with the Higher Truth. Your cover doesn't matter anymore. Stephen Crow was murdered at the New Age Fair. What? Stephen Crow's been murdered? That confirms that you didn't know. No, I was at the cult headquarters trying to convince people to leave before the release. Speaking of that, how are people reacting to the idea of committing suicide? Was anyone violent? Not really, no. Most people were surprisingly okay with the idea, which shows how much Stephen's nonsense got to them. How about Stephen's second in command, Grayson Rosewater? We need to talk to him.
89-year-old Joe Jackson.
I haven't seen him all day. He often leaves on cult business. Nobody knows where he goes.
He launched a musical
Matthew, I need to get back there and let everyone know about Stephen's murder. Make sure the plans for the release are put on hold.
Jackson 5.
Can you give me a head start? I'd like to try to keep my cover for as long as I can. It's easier for the cult members to trust me if they think I'm still one of them. Alright, you go ahead. Matthew and I will take a look outside the headquarters for now.
There was a multi-vehicle crash around noon today. 31-year-old woman, 63-year-old man, and 17-year-old girl all taken to hospital by emergency medical services with critical injuries. 27-year-old man suspected of using a car to attack his girlfriend and 2 other women in Plano yesterday behind bars tonight.
Now I have
He rammed his car into another
So now I have all crime scenes open, so there is a chance that I could have all stars collected, should I choose to, by the time I get everything all squared away and get all 5 stars. Wooden chunks, dog, badge. There we go.
Against 42-year-old husband Marco. He pleaded not guilty to killing Dennis Pacheco.
Maui Police Department is asking for help identifying this woman, believed to be connected to the theft in Lahaina back on June 21st. Anyone with information has to call police at 244-6400.
It may be a while before you see those blind
So this is the Higher Truth's headquarters. The place looks so peaceful, it's hard to imagine people were preparing to commit mass suicide inside those walls. Matthew, I see you found a bunch of chunks of wood. This could be helpful, I guess. We'll know for sure once you piece it together. And that's a badge for entrance to the New Age Fair. This could give us a new suspect. Let's look this woman up in the database.
The department will now collect input from other agencies and other cities before making a recommendation to the city council.
Alright, I'll have all stars collected, and I'll see you guys in just a little bit. Hold on, everybody. Okay, we have returned, and as you can see, I have 24 stars because I was able to unlock all crime scenes. So now, let's get this out of the way.
41 years ago, I won the Olympic gold medal figure skating. People remember me.
Oh, a bloody bracelet. Matthew, there was a bloody bracelet in that cardboard box. We need to get this to the lab, stat.
Scaly and showing the creepy wrinkles. It made me feel very old.
Why do they call it crepe skin? Well, it's very similar to crepe paper. It's loose. It's simply, it's lost its body. In the wintertime, although you may be inside more covered up, it's colder.
It's 3 hours.
It's drier. All of those things wreak havoc on your skin, and that just aggravates that whole condition of crepe skin. That's where crepe erase comes in.
Okay, wooden chunks now.
I started using crepe erase and saw it immediately. And I've been using it for 2 years now, and I really don't see any crepe skin. My hands were dry, cracked, and the crepe erase has really helped with the roughness, and it's helped them up a lot. I don't hide my hands anymore. Crepe erase is the #1 anti-aging treatment. It improves the look of dry.
There we go.
All year round. And it's with
Is that a wooden carving of the Higher Truth's logo? It looks handmade. Good eye. Whoever made this carved their name on the sculpture, but the bottom is broken off. Time to put your deciphering skills to the test, Matthew.
Reverse those signs of skin aging on the body.
You bet it is, Gloria.
Crepe erase is true firm, and only crepe erase has it. True firm works in 2 ways. First, it targets the dermal enzymes that break down collagen and elastin. Second, it promotes your skin's natural
text.
giving it that youthful look and snapback. True firm is supposed to make your skin's own medicine.
Sister Sky, it looks like.
In fact, a third-party clinical study showed that crepe erase system increased skin elasticity.
This one is pretty self-explanatory.
In just 8 weeks. During the cold weather months, crepe erase is 7.
So, this wooden carving was made by a certain Sister Sky. Do we know any cult member named Sky, Matthew?
Smoother, firmer, feels better, and it doesn't on.
You're right. Sky could be short for Skylar, as in Skylar Sage. You met her when you investigated the murder of that archaeologist. This could be the occasion to see firsthand how the cult is reacting to their leader's death. Let's talk to Miss
I
Sage.
noticed that my skin is more moist and feels more red. All that sort of dandruffy, scaly, itchy, dry red skin feels soft and smooth.
As a doctor,
Okay, let's see what she has to say.
the Craig race is truly remarkable. You see,
Welcome, friends. Have you finally decided to join the higher truth? No, Miss Sage, and I doubt anyone else will join again. Stephen Crow has been killed.
It's because it works.
Killed? Our fearless and peerless leader is gone already?
Does
Oh, what does that mean for the rest of us? Will the release still happen? Was he the only one found worthy?
Now you can
Miss Sage, did you hear me? Stephen Crow didn't take his own life. He was murdered.
Skin transformation starts
The higher truth works in mysterious ways, Senior Trooper Matthew. I need to go. I must warn the others. Our leader is gone. Well, Matthew, I don't know what I'd been expecting. We're done here. Let's go.
And with 7 key super hydrators, you'll be
And the badge.
clinically shown to last all day with just one application. For the #1 assessment of skin, you won't pay $200, but even $100. Order Fragrance right now so you can see amazing results like this on your part for only $99.
Oh no.
Plus, you'll get an amazing 4-in-1 eye removal capsule as a free gift.
Oh, and I still got the 9 anyway. Mako Kato.
And we'll double your gift. A $76.
According to the database, the woman on that bandage is a certain Mako Kato. It says here she's the mother of Haruki Kato. He's the boy who killed his best friend because he wanted money for the higher truth. So his mother went to the higher truth's headquarters. I agree, we better bring Mrs. Kato in.
Flavor Race comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. If you're not astonished with your results, just send it back for a full refund of the purchase price. This offer will not last, and neither will free shipping. So
Miss
don't
Kato,
wait.
we know you went to the New Age Fair and the headquarters of the Higher Truth. What were you hoping to do at these places? Do you mind if I smoke? These clove cigarettes are the only thing that keep me up these days. This is a non-smoking area, Miss Kato. Please tell us about your visit to the Higher Truth. Oh, that was such a waste of time. I wanted to try and understand what my son has seen in this cult. I've been visiting him in jail every day since he was arrested. I talked and talked to him, but I still do not understand what drove him to kill his best friend. Did your visit to the cult help in any way? Did you talk to the leader, Stephen Crow? I saw him at the fair, but everything he said sounded like nonsense to me. As I said, it was a waste of time. Why are you asking me all this? Because Stephen Crow was murdered. Murdered? Well, I do not mean to sound callous, but maybe at least this means no other mother will have to go through what I've gone through. That's a good point. I'll see you guys when these two are done. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we have returned, and let's get the results of the autopsy right now. Matthew, I've seen quite a few crimes against fashion when I was a model, but I've never seen someone use earrings as a murder weapon before. I still can't believe anyone would do that. That's so brutal. Brutal and effective. The earrings pierced Stephen's brain, killing him instantly. However, bruising on the forehead also shows your killer first subdued Stephen by hitting him over the head, probably with something blunt and heavy. Duly noted. We'll keep an eye out for a blunt, heavy object. Did you find anything else? Yes. There were traces of powdered sugar and cake-like crumbs on the murder weapon. It seems that your killer is a fan of powdered sugar donuts. I'm surprised their murderous rage left him any appetite. Anyway, the killer better chomp down on those donuts while he can. They won't get any in prison.
For continuing coverage from the Big Island, the killer whale threat. Stick with Island News on there online to remember.
Now the bloody bracelet. Matthew, the blood on the bracelet you sent me was indeed the victim's, but in addition to the blood spatter, I also found fluid from the victim's eyes. This proves that the killer was wearing the bracelet at the time of the murder. Evidently, they're not wearing it anymore. Any chance this bracelet tells us something else about them? Well, without Gabriel here to help me, this took a bit longer. But I managed to figure out these bracelets are worn by people who meditate. They use it to either count mantra repetitions or breaths, which means that your killer meditates. So we have a meditating killer. Looks like they premeditate too. Wow, Matthew, we started out preparing to arrest Stephen Crow to prevent the cult's planned suicide, and we end up investigating Stephen's murder instead. Understandably, Skylar Sage is in a state. The loss of her enlightened leader has deeply shaken her. Meanwhile, Meiko Kato understandably had no tears to shed for the cult leader because of what they did to her son. At least Gabriel was nowhere near our crime scene. He was busy trying to convince the cult members to leave before the release. Speaking of Gabriel, Matthew, he's on hold for you. Gabriel, is everything alright? Matthew, you need to get back to the headquarters. Grayson Rosewater has returned. Ooh. We'll see what he's returned for in Chapter 2. Don't go anywhere. Okay, let's start Chapter 2 of The Truth Hurts. That's where we last left off on. Grayson Rosewater is back. Stephen's second in command? There's not a second to lose. We need to go interrogate him.
We'll actually break down the cost that may take to take Chloe to the ER to get these similar services compared to what it would take to come here to the Joint Outreach Center. Reporting live from Chinatown, Eliza Larson, Highland News.
Eliza, thank you for that. Dozens of people gathered outside the U.S. Department of Homeland Security today.
Still ahead on Island News at 5, the department's message.
Now let's see what Grayson Rosewater has to say. Senior Trooper Matthew, now is not the best time for a chat. The Enlightened One has left us, and I say that makes it the perfect time to talk to us, Mr. Grayson. Where were you this morning? I was away on business. The Higher Truth takes me far and wide, and often only leaves me time to grab a donut before I have to leave again. Well, now that your leader is gone, you'll finally be able to stay put. Do you know of anyone who might have wished him dead? Of course not. Stephen was loved by all. We have nothing to hide. By all means, have a look around the compound. We can start right here. This very room is where the Enlightened One slept. And this very room, as well as the rest of your headquarters, is now officially on lockdown. That means no one from the Higher Truth may leave, Mr. Rosewater, including you, and the cult's mass suicide plans are over. Matthew, I don't trust Grayson Rosewater, even with the headquarters under lockdown. I agree. We better get some police presence here to make sure these people don't harm themselves. I'll call the station and get them to send a few units over while you have a look around the victim's room. Sounds legit.
FBI background checks to keep guns out of the hands of stalkers, harassers.
Of course, I did get all the stars here in the bonus crime scene. CD. Sandwich. Violin, and we need the tablet, and we got it. 4 seconds. I have to say, I would have expected the room of a cult leader to be much fancier, but it looks like he was treated like any other cult member. Makes one wonder what they did with all the money they scammed from their members, doesn't it? But no time for speculation. That tablet you found must have been Steven's, so we'd better unlock it. And if you can put this broken CD back together, it might give us another lead. Let's get to work, Matthew. Okay.
To abolish the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency on response to the separation of families. The Department of Human Services is currently housing 12,000 unaccompanied immigrant children. 8% of them belong to the U.S. border by themselves.
ICE is an unlawful enforcement agency. The sole and enslaved immigrants.
So that CD is still a bit of a mystery, but it was clearly intended for our victim. Good call, Matthew. We should get that CD to the lab.
The biggest military exercises of its kind is officially on in Hawaii.
12 hours.
Ships and personnel from 25 countries are all on site at Pearl Harbor. From now until August 2nd, thousands of participants will practice warfare.
Locked tablet now.
You might not see much, but there's a good chance you'll hear it or notice the traffic on the clouds in that
Navy says the ballistic training program is
49499. 94747. 7 8 not 4 9 oh no 9 8 shoot I was right the first time 7 8 4 9 8 there we are. Skylar Sage. Matthew, that tablet may have been Steven's, but it's showing Skylar Sage's agenda. Look at all those appointments. It looks like Skylar was heavily involved with the cult's recruiting efforts. Except that half of these interviews were canceled. Was she removed from the recruiting process? Did she get on Steven's bad side? I agree, Matthew. We better have another chat with Skylar to get to the bottom of these canceled appointments.
Visitors spent nearly $1.5 billion statewide just last month. That's an increase of 11% compared to May of last year. The Hawaii Tourism Authority reporting, despite the ongoing lava activity on the island of Hawaii, visitors spent $170 million more there than they did last May.
Miss Sage, you must have had a lot of free time lately, given that so many of your recruiting interviews were canceled. Was Crow taking you off the job? Please, call him the Enlightened One. He may have already departed, but that's all the more reason to be respectful. And I was the one who canceled all those recruitment interviews. At first, the cult seemed very exclusive. It felt like the higher truth was only meant for a chosen few. Then the recruitment drive started, complete with donuts that even I could not resist. There was pressure to bring more and more into the fold. I expressed my misgivings to the Enlightened One, but he waved them away. He told me his mission was to help as many people as possible to reach salvation. And even though I meditate several hours every day on the higher truth, I realize that my mind is simply not mature enough to question anything. Yes, critical thinking skills aren't highly prized by cult leaders. Stay close, Miss Sage. We may seek you out again.
to the west side. We
Looks like that's gonna do.
Slowdowns through town, and certainly as we head through Pearl City IA, it will be a little bit slower than we'd like to see. Let's go ahead and take you to this one incident we have.
I'll let the CD run its course. I'll see you when that's done. Okay, we've returned. Let's get the results of the CD from Kathy. Matthew, that CD you found in Stephen Crow's room was extremely creepy, but also kind of cool. At first glance, the CD appeared to be a greatest hits compilation for an electro band. But when I started listening to the lyrics, I quickly noticed something was off. Someone modified the original songs. They replaced the choruses with threats to the victim, including a very telling line about the blind leading the blind. Given how Crow died, there's no doubt that the killer made those alterations. Did you find anything that could help us identify them? Whoever did this used a filter that made their voice sound totally robotic. And I wasn't able to reverse the effect. But there's one thing they couldn't hide. They had to know the band really well to be able to adapt the song so perfectly. Your killer is a fan of the band Dayglow Satsuma. So the killer is a big Dayglow Satsuma fan, huh? I wonder if they do tours in prisons. That's one more entry for our killer's profile, but we could use new leads. I agree, Matthew. Let's have another look outside the cult's headquarters.
East or west side. It must have come from south of the park or uptown. Now we're supposed to give us everything between North Harlem and the village. Ask about the architecture.
When you were at the bus stop today, what did you see? Lots of buildings. Tell me what they look like. Some were tall, some were little, and round.
Real estate. Real estate.
Is the man like one of the brown ones? Yeah, we lived under the stairs. Tasha, when you were outside the house today, what did you see? A church. I asked them if we could go there. Mom always said the church. What else was in the house? School?
Okay.
Okay, can you describe it? I've never seen it. I just heard the dancing kids.
I'm also under unlimited energy happy hour too, so there's a good chance I could be speeding up one of these.
That kind of area would take us days to finish. He doesn't have that much time. We gotta jog Tasha's memory, get her on the street, start with the churches.
Tasha's like this? Whoa.
Where is that? Oh, there's the apple.
It's like this.
This isn't working. They gotta keep going. The next church could be the one. The next minute, Nikki could be dead.
Would you look at that picture of Stephen Crow? Devil horns and a tail. The word monster. Someone wasn't happy with him. Maybe that dusty substance could tell us who made that sign. Let's collect a sample. And that handbag doesn't look like a usual higher truth accessory. How about you use your skills on that lock, Matthew?
Yeah, you quit now. We're going to the meeting. What would you feel on TV news? Good idea. Give them she's at the Gazette. I'm not going to play gold to my taxi. As an economist, we're looking for a family.
Even if the purpose is reasonable.
831
We ask everybody who cares to give us the phone.
6WY
Perfect Tasha can ID.
Counting on the best one.
ODM.
Yeah, I think press conference set up. We need a picture of Tasha.
Alright, let's have a rummage through this bag, Matthew.
We're at the carousel today. Please contact our office at the number.
I want to say something good, son.
Alright, now the handbag. Picture. That was an interesting collection of tchotchkes, although not surprising, considering the picture you just found. These kids look like dyed-in-the-wool goths. Wait, you're Stephen Crow? Whoa, it's really hard to imagine this kid with black clothes and mascara becoming the enlightened one. Who's the girl standing next to him? Any chance you know? Oh yes, you do. That girl's Elvira Milton, and she was involved in one of your investigations back in the day. I wonder what she was doing here outside the cult headquarters. Let's find Miss Milton and ask her.
After the first season, because there was so much amazing dancing, I was like, somebody's gonna have to literally let us dance to impress us for season 2.
Tune in to World of Dance Tuesdays at 7 Central, only on NBC.
Wow, Senior Trooper Matthew, is that real? Is that you? Long time no see. Yeah, I know. Yes, it seems today was a day for reminiscing. Is that why you went to the Higher Truth headquarters, Miss Milton? Did you meet up with Stephen Crow? Huh, yeah, it's a funny thing. When I learned that Langelis, I mean Stephen, had started this cult thing, I had to see it for myself. I stopped by Donut Land on my way over for old time's sake. We used to hang out there with the gang, back in the day. Anyway, some guy in a robe told me Stephen was at the fair, so I went there. I could hardly recognize him. And the nonsense that came out of his mouth, all about higher truth this and enlightenment that silly cult really changed him. I'm afraid it changed him in more ways than one. Stephen was murdered earlier today at the fair. What? Stephen is dead? I can't believe this. We talked about death so much when we were teens, and now we'll never talk again.
As a whistleblower, you may be entitled to what the government takes from you, and your employer can't fire you for reporting these frauds. Call the number on your screen now, or visit ClassAction.com for a confidential evaluation. Crime doesn't pay, but doing the right thing does. ClassAction.com. Patient protection justice.
Hey girls, do you want to wear floaty trendy statement earrings and a pretty book full inside? Introducing Magic Bats, computer breakers, anti-friction and liquid support earrings. Just replace any earring back with Magic Bats. The easy-lift heart-shaped design supports you anything.
Perfect. You gotta sample that dusty stuff from the protest sign. Rupert will want to look at that, Matthew.
This 4th of July, be fiercely independent.
If you will. Great dust. I'll see you guys then. Well, I said I would speed something up, and I will. This. Well, dear friends, the dusty substance you got from the protest sign turned out to be cigarette ashes. Well, that's not going to be very helpful. A lot of people smoke. That's why I dug deeper, and I soon isolated a heavy concentration of oil from the Syzygium aromaticum plant. In English, that would be what kind of plant exactly? Garden variety clove oil. Some people use it to relieve toothaches, but in this case, it spiced up a pack of cigarettes. Matthew, doesn't one of our suspects smoke clove cigarettes? That's right. Haruki Kato's mother tried to light one up in the station. So she was the one who made this protest sign against Stephen. Looks like Miss Kato has made up her mind about the cult. We better go talk to her. Kato, Kato, I don't know. Let's see what she has to say. Miss Kato, we found the protest sign you made against Stephen Crow. What? How did you trace that sign back to me? Take a wild guess, and don't even think about lighting that cigarette in here. I knew these stupid things would lead to more trouble, but the last time I quit, I binged on donuts and my blood sugar went crazy. Yes, I made the sign. I decided to take action. That monster scrambled my son's mind. I tried to let go of the anger, you know. I meditated, listened to Daigo Satsuma, but all I could think of was my precious son in jail. I couldn't let that monster get away with it. I couldn't let him turn other people into murderers. And so you went to confront him at the fair. Did you decide to take justice into your own hands, Miss Kato? Of course not. I'm glad he's dead, but I didn't do it. You have to believe me. Matthew, I feel like we're a little closer to finding the person who stabbed and killed Stephen Crow, but we need more. Running into Stephen's old friend Elvira was a surprise, and her shock seemed genuine when we told her about his being murdered. And that Grayson Rosewater gives me all kinds of creeps, but that doesn't make him a killer. So far, Meiko Kato is the strongest suspect. In my opinion, she wanted revenge for her son, and that's a strong motive. Sorry, Matthew, I better grab this call. It's from the backup unit at the cult headquarters. Officer Jeffords, how are things over there? Senior Trooper Matthew, it's a catastrophe. These cult people, they've broken out of the headquarters. They're rioting. Oh, great.
When I question the pipeline, I never question the song. If they prove you linked this thing, your job, your pension, and your freedom, I'll visit you in bed.
And we'll start chapter 3. Alright, folks, we've returned. Let's start chapter 3 with The Truth Hurts.
Our leggings are made to move and for a limited time they are for 24 hours. Fabulous super soaking fabric is now marinated in leather. With just
The cult people are swarming us. They want to go on with the release. We won't be able to stop them for long. Keep those cult followers on the ground. We'll be at the headquarters soon.
Right now, get your first 2 pairs of leggings for just $24 and any other
Senior Trooper Matthew, thank goodness you're here. We don't know what to do. What happened? We thought you had this under control. Well, we don't. These people are nuts. The Enlightened One ascended. We must follow his soul to the next plane without delay. We're running out of time. Soon his spirit will continue its journey without us. Please, children, listen to me. The release must wait. The police presence is disturbing the energy. But will the spirit of the Enlightened One wait for us? Stephen's spirit isn't going anywhere, Rosewater. Stephen's spirit isn't going anywhere. Rosewater, you better keep a handle on these children of yours. Get them back inside the compound. Matthew, we need to close this investigation fast. Let's go back to the victim's room.
Pancreatitis. So stop taking Pitocin and call your doctor right away if you have severe pain in your stomach area. Tell your doctor your medical history. Gallbladder problems.
Still under unlimited energy happy hour, but this will be the only one I'll be speeding up.
Insulin may cause low blood sugar. Common side effects are nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, decreased appetite, indigestion.
Join some macaroni while I'm at it.
Lead to dehydration, which may cause kidney problems. Change before secure treatment. Ask your doctor about Pitocin.
Your lifestyle correspondent. Here's my lifestyle. I'm always trying to go purpose clothes. And I'm always trying to find something cute to wear, but I don't want to spend a lot of money. I will deal with I will share the best tip with you. I do all of my shopping through eBay. They have all of the best deals in one spot. Even better, get cash back for shopping. Basically, you're getting paid to shop. I shop at my favorite places. Exactly. eBay is basically
There we go.
best deals for $2,000.
There we are.
Get from those retailers with their members in the form of a check or a deposit right into PayPal account. Shopping or sport, I'd be the world champion, so this is perfect for me. Let's make that happen.
Stay there and watch. 3 seconds.
When we were dating, we used to get excited about things like concert tickets.
Got the first star already.
That started turning into his dad. That's
Matthew, look at that cult flyer. Perfect bait for a lost lamb. But wait, above the victim's face, someone wrote, "If I can't have you, no one can." There's no signature, but maybe the smudgy substance can tell us something about the person who wrote this message, Matthew. And that phone might have been the victim's. We better crack that password quick. Wait a minute, doesn't that faded bit of paper look like a plane ticket to Aruba? Was the Enlightened One planning a different sort of trip? Let's get dusting. We've got to jump to it, Matthew. Once the killer is behind bars, we can shut down the cult for good. Now I'm gonna get some stars. We can get some more stars, so sit tight, folks. Okay, I've got all stars. 23 in total. Bam. That airplane ticket to Aruba was for Grayson Rosewater? But why would he need a plane to Aruba if he's planning on downing hemlock with the others? You're right, Matthew. Perhaps Grayson Rosewater wasn't planning on joining the others. We better grill him and get the whole story. Mr. Rosewater, we know you were planning a trip to the idyllic Caribbean getaway spot, Aruba. That was no getaway. It was for a meditation retreat to recenter myself after the release. After the release? So you didn't intend to take part in the release. What did Stephen think about that? I had told the Enlightened One that someone needed to stay behind after the release to manage the higher truth's affairs. The Enlightened One didn't understand. He felt that I must be a part of the release with everyone else, but I knew he'd see my viewpoint eventually. Or maybe, to be sure that you didn't join the release, you made sure the victim took his a little earlier. You're being ridiculous, and I need to get away from your bad energy, Senior Trooper Matthew. Maybe that Daigo Satsuma CD Sister Skylar lent me will help cleanse space. Okay. There we go. If you get that substance from the flyer under the microscope, we're bound to get a lead. Let's do this, Matthew. Missed out on the 9. And it's black lipstick. That substance from the flyer was a lipstick called Exquisite Corpse, and it's from a company called DOA. DOA as in Dead on Arrival? Yeesh. Wait, Matthew, you're right. We have seen this lipstick before. It was in Elvira Milton's handbag. So she's the one who wrote, "If I can't have you, no one can." Let's talk to Elvira. Miss Milton, it seems that you are still rather attached to Mr. Crow. You found the flyer. I can't believe he kept it. You know, he said we'd never be apart, Senior Trooper Matthew. We were going to be undead together, forever. And then he went and did this stupid cult crap. But I still had hope that I could get my Langulus back. I tried to remind him of all the beautiful times we had together, but he told me that he was a changed man, that there could be nothing between us ever again. Passion is a dangerous emotion, Miss Milton. For your sake, I hope you didn't follow through with your threat. MS 452 8XB. Here we go. You got the smartphone unlocked, but it's just a blank home screen. There's no selfie on the home screen for once. And there's no indications of the phone's owner anywhere. Well, I guess that means that this is a job for Kathy. Let's get the smartphone to her. Ran out of time in this, but this is 9 hours, and I'll get the results when this is done. Don't go anywhere, folks. Okay, let's get the results of the unlocked smartphone. I should have done this last night, but I forgot. Matthew, I have bad news about that smartphone you brought me. The phone belongs to Gabriel. This is Gabriel's phone. What was it doing in the victim's room? Good question. An even better question is, what was it doing at the New Age Fair? What do you mean? The phone's GPS data proves that Gabriel was at the fair at the time of the murder. What? But Gabriel told us that he was at the headquarters when the victim was killed. Matthew, we need to confront Gabriel about this right away. Ask him why he lied. Gabriel, why did you lie to us? We know that you were at the New Age Fair. Oh dear. It was foolish of me, but it's like that Daigo Satsuma song says, appearances deceive. I did go to the fair, but it was only to reason with Steven. You don't understand how bad things were inside the cult. Everyone kept chanting about the suicide. I couldn't get through to anybody. The more I talked to the disciples, the more I realized that they were too indoctrinated to think clearly. I had to go to the source and change Stephen Crow's mind. But Crow didn't even care. He said I'd see the higher truth too, in the end. He thought he was saving these people. So you jeopardized this operation for nothing, and you didn't tell us about it. What was I supposed to do? Shutting down the cult was taking too long. I'm sorry I lied, but I couldn't put police procedures above people's lives. Well, either way, he's cleared. Between Grayson, who was trying to escape the release, and Skylar, who wanted to stop recruiting people to the cult, it seems the victim was losing his hold on people. But would either of them go so far as to kill him? You're right, Matthew. The evidence will bring the truth into the light, and we need more of it if we're ever going to find Stephen Crow's killer. Good call, Matthew. Let's head back to the crime scene. There's bound to be a lead. Of course, as you can see, I do have over 99 messages there. But will be getting the first star. Dragonfly. Rabbit. Oh, I just saw the dragonfly. There we are. Now, I'm not going to be speeding this up. This is kind of my fault, so I won't be speeding it up right now. Matthew, do I see blood on that box of donuts? This box must have been the killer's. They left some weird purple flakes behind. We'll need a sample of these. And we better be quick about looking through that trash can. We need to wrap up this investigation.
You're cautious.
That doesn't mean I can't learn.
Hey, let me ask. As your sponsor, did you gamble today? And I didn't drink.
I thought we decided after the last one this was a bad idea.
You did.
Okay. Bloody rock. Is that a bloody rock you found in the trash, Matthew? You're right. Martine said Stephen was hit over the head before he was killed. The killer must have used this bloody rock. Let's get it to the lab.
Are you okay? Did we all think he had
9 hours.
to be?
But I will be speeding up I will be speeding up the flakes after the rock has run its course. Got it. Way to go! Now we have a sample of the purple flakes from the donut box for Rupert. Let's head to the lab. "15 hours. I'll see you guys later."
Back to the normal range and then continuing to
Okay, folks, we've returned. Let's get the results of the bloody rock right now.
That's what we're expecting.
Hello, Matthew. The bloody rock you brought me was worth its weight in gold. The victim's blood on the bloody rock proves that it was definitely used to knock out the victim before he was stabbed in the eyes. Good. Was there anything else to help catch the killer? As a matter of fact, I found a strange solid residue on the bloody rock. It perplexed me for some time, but I did eventually identify it as a mineral, amethyst to be exact. That'll be my birthstone, because I'm a February. To be precise, the powder was polished amethyst, much like what a New Age adherent might wear around their neck for protection against negative vibes. The killer's crystal necklace must have hit this bloody rock and left the dust behind. So the killer is wearing a crystal necklace. Well, it can't protect them from Matthew. And I'll go ahead and speed up the purple flakes. Another fascinating little puzzle for your favorite forensics team today. You spoil me, Matthew, you do. The little purple flakes you found in the killer's donut box are none other than nail varnish. Nail varnish? What's that? Apologies, Matthew. Americans say nail polish, don't they? Well, however you wish to call it, the killer was wearing this very shade. So the killer wears this light purple nail polish. Well, I doubt they'll find it at the prison commissary. Matthew, we have every element we need to arrest Stephen Crow's killer and end this cult once and for all. Let's do this. It's definitely not Gabriel. It's Skylar Sage. Why am I not surprised? Skylar Sage, you're under arrest for the murder of Stephen Crow. What? I would never have harmed the Enlightened One. And yet you did. You hit him over the head with a rock, and then you stabbed him with his own earrings. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. He changed my life. Why would I harm him right before the release? Well, you tell us. You've been angry with Stephen Crow for a while. We found the Dago Satsuma mix you sent to him. Everyone listens to Dago Satsuma. It helps us meditate and protects us from negative vibes. Speaking of negative vibes, you left flakes from your crystal necklace on the bloody rock used to stun Mr. Crow. It's over, Skylar. We have all the evidence we need. Just confess. Yes, it's true. I did kill Stephen. So it's Stephen now. All of a sudden, he's not the Enlightened One. He never was. I used to believe everything he said, but then he announced the release and yet he kept asking for more money. And that got me thinking. Why did the Higher Truth need everyone's money if we were all going to leave for another plane of existence? That's a good question, Miss Sage. Did you try to get an answer? Yes, I did. I confronted Stephen at the fair. He gave me the same old line about material things holding us back. But he wouldn't tell me where all that money was going and to what purpose. I realized in that moment Stephen was simply using us all to get rich. He probably wasn't even going to attend the release. I was blind with rage. I hit him over the head with the bloody rock, and once he was out cold, I grabbed his earrings and stabbed his eyes. Miss Sage, we understand that you must have felt betrayed, but killing Stephen Crow was not the right way to deal with it. You're under arrest. Skylar Sage, you are before this court charged with the murder of Stephen Crow, who you stabbed in the brain through his eyes with his own earrings. He claimed to have a higher vision, but he was just another con artist. Be that as it may, you could have come to the law to express your concerns. But he was inciting mass suicide to get away with all the money. And you should have relied on the fine police force of Grimsboro to stop him, but you didn't. Given the nature of this murderous act, the court hereby sentences you to 25 years in prison.
You could pay for your cab ride, a bus ride, or shuttle
But I saved lives! I saved lives!
Signal Shuttle is an environmentally friendly taxi combining ride sharing.
Matthew, can you believe that Stephen Crow's most devoted disciple is the one who did him in? I don't agree with how she handled the situation, but I do think she has a valid question. What was all the money for? And what will become of these poor people who got hoodwinked into handing over everything they had to the cult?
Did you pay for your ride by signal?
We're not done with this cult yet, Matthew. We can't rest until we have the answers.
Tune in tomorrow morning at 6. Perfect morning for what? Have a good night.
Bert, I asked her if she had been wiping too hard. She said no. Her daddy had been.
Call the police. Why is
And as we take a look
I guess.
at the other ones, Meiko Kato, no crystal necklace, Grayson Rosewater, he doesn't even have any nail polish. Why not? Because he's a guy. Elvira Milton cleared early. Gabriel Herrera was cleared from the start. It was Skylar Sage. We'll see you guys for the Moment of Truth 6-6. And it's now time for the Moment of Truth 6-6.
This Summers, you never actually see.
Thank goodness that madness with the cult is over. The leader's murder was solved, and now we're going to make sure that cult is closed down for good.
Obviously, it doesn't do
Closing it is one thing, but what about the cult members? We can't just leave them to their own devices. Then again, we can't have constant surveillance on them either.
Over time, did you say?
I've got an idea about how we can help them. If you don't mind meeting me in my office, Matthew.
Yes.
I'll see you in Gabriel's office, Matthew. For my part, I think it's time to solve the last mystery about the cult. Why would they need so much money if they were all going to die? Clearly, Stephen had plans for that money, and we need to find out what they were. I'll meet you back at the cult's headquarters, Matthew.
You were concerned for her well-being.
Of course I was.
And were you concerned for her well-being when you sent this defense Exhibit 3 to your then husband? Can you tell me what this is?
Matthew, even though the higher truth used strong indoctrination tactics, I believe that there is still hope for the cult members to return to a normal life. The cult has not been around for very long, so thankfully there are not decades of damage to undo. That said, I feel that I am too close to these people to be able to remain sufficiently objective to assist with their deprogramming. We need to find someone who can help them. Well, the New Age Fair had a lot of different stands on how to help people find inner peace. Maybe someone there could help. We might as well give it a shot. Matthew, Gabriel will know a lot more about legit help for cult members, so I'll let you two head over to the fair without me. Great, let's do this. But first, can I please get out of this annoying robe and suit?
I asked Mr. Maddox if I could have a smoke, and he said I needed to do it outside.
When you came back in, what did you see?
Mr. Maddox and Chelsea played chess.
Yes, after that.
That's all I saw.
You didn't see Mr. Maddox and Chelsea coming out of the laundry room?
No, sir.
Let me remind you. In your interview with Detective Controller, you said you saw both of them coming out of the laundry room. Chelsea's dress was unbuttoned. She had no tights on.
Well, I meditate a lot, so I can focus on the present instead of living in the past.
Faded poster.
So, what you told the police then might be a more accurate indication of what you actually saw than what you remember now?
I'm sorry, I just don't remember. All I remember is Mr. Maddox and Chelsea playing chess. And that girl loves.
There we go. I did a little better that time.
Donna was crystal clear when I talked to her before. Frank got to
Wow, she's Tibetan. For all we know, we call it
This poster was pretty depressing, and there seems to be writing on it, but I can't make it out.
He always gets what he wants because everything.
I'll grab your dusting kit, Matthew. You'll uncover the rest of the poster in no time.
It doesn't matter. He's got talent, connections, success. People bend the rules when it comes to Frank. They always have. You never should have put Chelsea through this.
So this is my fault? What about what I've been through?
You married him. He made you a star. You actually believe that people can think that you didn't know what kind of man he is?
Okay, faded poster.
Keep watching for another episode of Law and Order SVU.
And a cult we can help.
Positively entertaining.
So you think someone broke into your apartment and flipped your couch?
Why does she need private investigator? When someone tries to drive residents from their home,
You think I'm crazy? Saying things.
you guys talking about the building?
Every one of your neighbors has a different issue.
Water, heat, electricity, insects, Angie and James to uncover the truth.
Someone's running a creepy campaign against everyone in the building. But what's his angle?
Private Eyes, tomorrow, 9 Central, on ION Television.
Oh man, I'm only gonna get one. There we go. In a cult, we can help. This poster seems to be for a service to help people leave cults, but sometimes those groups turn out to be cults themselves. You're right, Matthew. Ramirez can hunt down who is really behind the phone number on that poster to be sure it's not a scam.
Price is as easy as
Dates, deals, done. Simply enter your destination and dates and see all the hotels for your stay. TripAdvisor searches over 200 booking sites to show you the lowest prices so you can get the best deal on the right hotel for you. Dates, deals, done.
6 hours.
TripAdvisor. Visit TripAdvisor.com.
Over the last 24 hours, you've finished preparing him for college. In 24 hours, his son-in-law thinking you've done everything for his well-being.
Okay.
But meningitis B progresses quickly and can be fatal, sometimes within 24 hours. While meningitis B is uncommon, about 1 in 10 infected will die. Like millions of others, your team may not be vaccinated against meningitis B. Meningitis B strikes quickly. Be quick to talk to your
Currently
team's
enjoying a
doctor
bottle of
about
water.
meningitis B vaccine.
If you've ever needed more capacity, more features, and more for your heart and dollar, the time has never been more right. Guaranteed lowest prices, focus on all top brands like Whirlpool Laundry Pad. Long dealer, more safe, more deep. Prices are dropping in Minnesota. Lower prices for your favorite big grains. Plus, only for black, get 6 months safest cash and get on the same
Got it.
Join Macy's as we salute those who serve. Give $3 to support America's returning veterans and military families and get an extra 25% off throughout the store. 100%.
Well, I did a little better there again. This looks like a broken microchip, Matthew. Exactly the kind of thing on which Steven might have kept confidential data. We better put it back together, quick.
Yes. An identity is stolen every 2 seconds. And you can do something about it with Experian. See if your social security number, phone, and email aren't missed with a free dark web triple scan at Experian.com/scan.
There we go.
Experian. Identity protection has a new identity.
Ashley Home Store Exclusives Tracy event is now extended. Come in and celebrate the freedom to save. For one final week, save up to 40% or get 0% interest for 6 years on the latest styles for a limited time. Shop and save today at Ashley Home Store. This is home. Putting off the tire rotation?
Here we go.
Technicians at Chippy rotate tires to keep you on the road.
Great work, Matthew. Let's get that microchip to Kathy.
Or to say that Chelsea has an overactive imagination. Likes female producers, just but he's a small guy. Supports charities, empowers women.
Barbara did get her to admit that he gave people iPads after the charge.
Which co-encounter I bring in at times some point.
9 hours, and I'll see you guys when these two are finished. See y'all then.
For guys,
And we're back. Let's get the results of the microchip from Kathy. Well, Matthew, the good news is that the microchip did explain what Stephen Crow intended to do with the money he scanned from his followers. You see, the microchip contains last wills and testaments of many cult members. Let me guess, they were supposed to leave everything to Stephen Crow? That's the thing, the money wasn't going to Stephen. Those wills state that all personal assets of cult members would be given to the Guardians of the Satellite Spirit, also referred to as Dream Life. We already knew the cults had donated money to Dream Life, but why would Stephen give them all the money? As money scams go, this makes no sense. You're right, Matthew. Stephen may be dead, but his second in command isn't. Let's go talk to Grayson Rosewater.
The Harry Potter books promote equality, dealing with prejudice. It's really trying to.
Now let's see what Grayson Rosewater has to say.
We can conquer anything. Keep putting on.
Mr. Rosewater, the jig is up. We know Stephen intended to give all of the cult members money to Dream Life after their death. We just don't know why. I don't understand a word of what you're saying. What money? And what's Dream Life? Don't play dumb, Rosewater. The higher truth is never anything but a way to scam these poor people out of their money. We've got ample proof of it.
June 22nd through July 9th.
I assure you, I had no idea about this, but it does explain why the Enlightened One was so adamant about recruiting more members. He only wanted more money. I can't believe the Enlightened One scammed these poor people. To think he'd insisted that I die with everyone else. He probably intended to escape with the money. We're not buying this innocent act, Rosewater. You better stay put. No trips to Aruba for you. So Grayson is playing dumb. But what about Dream Life? Did they know the money would be coming from dead cult members? We need to have another look at Stephen Crow's room. We need answers. But first, I need to eat something before I pass out.
DirecTV gives you more for your thing. If you've been waiting for a sign to quit cable, then here's some signs.
I'm gonna go ahead and change my pet to cat. I'm pretty sure I don't have a ×6 thing in me. I don't.
To and fro, up and down, forwards and backwards.
There we go.
Intuition back, shape in both directions. Flawlessly. Music intuition for your sleep.
That's what's most fun is the search for a home. Just like this nightmare. Apartments.com is going to put the brakes on this going wrong. Apartments.com. Yeah.
There we go.
Right now, get our lowest prices of the season.
Isn't that right, Gina?
What's she doing here?
Same thing as you. It's
Well, what do you know? A surveillance camera.
What'd you tell him?
This could be our big break. I'm sure unlocking it will be child's play for you, Matthew.
You gave her the address where Damon and Lakeisha are hiding, and you told her which one of your Latin kings was going to kill.
I ain't doing none of that. She's lying.
Such a tragedy.
What is it?
That your kids are born in prison. Both parents didn't.
3, 2, 2, 2, 3.
At school for life. What's that time?
2, 3, 8, 2,
Well, there is one thing.
1. And the last one. 3, 2,
Tell us.
8,
Check once.
4, 3. Just got the 8 in time. You got the camera unlocked. There's a video screen, so we can check the feed right here. Let's press play.
They said if I cleaned up the walls, you cleaned
Because they're all options.
Miss Pierre, I assure you, Dream Life can get any and all of the extra funding it needs for the satellite project through the cult. And with no strings attached, because no one will be filing any claims after the road. Do not even say another word. I do not want to know every little detail of your organization, Grayson. Fair enough. Possible deniability is always a good thing. So Grayson Rosewater was behind the money scheme the whole time. He even met with Rosetta Pierre about it. Trying to turn up the heat and confront Grayson Rosewater. Will we end up having to arrest Grayson Rosewater? You will see. Currently enjoying a little macaroni too.
A celebrity history show.
Something special.
Grayson Rosewater, we have video footage showing you talking with Rosetta Pierre. You were discussing the higher truth financing Dream Life. It was never Stephen Crow behind this money scheme. It was you. How did you find that video? It doesn't matter. What matters is that we're arresting you for embezzlement and inciting mass suicide. Inciting mass suicide? These gullible idiots would have been happier dead anyway. All these months having to pretend to believe in Steven's kooky nonsense, I'm relieved it's all over, to be honest. So you never believed in the higher truth. Then why do all this for Dream Life? Because Dream Life signs my paychecks, of course. You work for Dream Life? Yes, and the second I heard there was a cult worshipping the so-called higher spirit that fell in the forest, I knew this could become a funding opportunity for the company. Joining the cult and gaining Steven's trust was ridiculously easy, and so was convincing him to ask people for money. And when Steven decided on that release madness, well, I jumped on the bandwagon. Once people were dead, getting their money would be even easier. You truly have no shame about any of this. You really struck gold when these poor people started worshipping your satellite. Ha! You still think it's a satellite? That's almost as funny as these idiots thinking it was a divine messenger. What do you mean it's not a satellite? What is it then? Ha! You'll figure it out. In time. Arrest me. I don't care. My job here is done. Okay then. Grayson Rosewater, you're under arrest and we're freezing your assets. I cannot believe that Grayson Rosewater was working for Dream Life this whole time. And what on earth did he mean about that not being a satellite? We better track down Rosetta Pierre and confront her about this. I agree. Long time no see, Senior Trooper Matthew. What are you up in arms about this time? The fact that one of your employees was ready to let a large group of people commit suicide just to get money for your company. Oh, you must mean Grayson. That whole business was a disaster. As soon as I realized how he intended to get money from the cult, I ordered him to put a stop to it. He refused, and I was forced to fire him a few days ago. That's convenient. You keep weaseling out of trouble by putting the blame on your employees, Miss Pierre, but that won't save you every time. Another thing, though, Grayson said that the Dream Life satellite isn't really a satellite. So what is under that dome of yours? I wouldn't put any stock in what Grayson has to say if I were you. Of course it's a satellite, and we've got the documents to prove it. No matter what you say, you'd best believe that we'll get to the bottom of all this, Miss Pierre. And now the poster information from Ramirez. Matthew, I have great news about that phone number you had me run. The number goes to a certain Jennifer Russo. She's a therapist. Dr. Russo? Why does that name sound familiar, Matthew? Wait a second, isn't she Marconi's therapist? Can we really trust someone who works with a mobster? Well, she's published studies about the best ways to help people return to a normal life after having been in a cult. Apparently she's had a high success rate. I still feel better speaking with Dr. Russo myself, just to make sure. Let's go, Matthew. Dr. Russo, we came across your cryptic hotline poster at the New Age Fair. So you're a specialist in helping cult members? Helping the indoctrinated heal is my specialty. I even have a safe space facility where they can reprogram themselves. I wouldn't mind comparing notes with you. I've infiltrated the higher truths, and there are quite a few people who will need your help. Ah yes, the higher truth. I heard that their leader was recently dispatched to another plane of existence. The situation is rather serious, Dr. Russo. The cult was planning a mass suicide. A mass suicide? Then there's no time to lose. I will round up a team of counselors and go to their headquarters. Thank you. The officers on site can give you any assistance you might need. Excellent. And for this unexpected windfall of work, Please take a token of my thanks, Senior Trooper Matthew. Thank goodness Dr. Russo will be taking care of the cult members. Maybe she can help them get back to a normal life. Meanwhile, it turns out Grayson Rosewater was working for Dream Life all along. What? Rosewater seemed so devoted to the higher truth. I'm embarrassed to think that even I was fooled by him. Well, apparently he was ready to let all these people take their own lives just to get their money. Of course, Miss Pierre is pretending that she's completely innocent. I'm getting tired of her goody two-shoes act. But even more worrying is what Rosewater implied about Dream Life satellite. Namely, that it's not a satellite at all. But if it's not a satellite, then what did fall from the sky a year ago? What's under that dome? That's what we need to find out. Yes, we do, but I'm afraid something even more urgent has come up. The mayor has ordered us to go to Maple Heights. Public safety is at risk.
Records claim no arrest.
So bachelor, huge voice.
He's a raging hypochondriac. Says here that he won't travel anywhere without his own private physician. Ari Nathan.
You got an Ari Nathan on that list? You got a Peterson, Youth Bomb, no name. Check with the medical board. He must be licensed and he practices in New York.
He's a concierge doctor at Disney Medical Office. That only makes house calls for the filthy rich.
Go pick him up.
Great. Hometown Rushmore.
My concerns? Excuse me, Captain Trevor's office.
Yes. That's his way.
We'll be in Maple Heights. For how many cases? 6.
Against who?
Dominic Moreau.
And this will be released July 5th. So let's see here. First of all, we have 4 more districts to go. Or no, not 4. We have 5 more districts, rather. But of course, when you look at this, was where the airport. I believe the airport was actually over here. Unless, well, then again, a lot can change in 5 years, of course. Four new ones. Crash 5. New ones. So obviously that's a Thursday since July 4th is a Wednesday. One more and I'll complete that page in case 4. Do I plan to do any cases in elite mode? Not quite sure yet, but we'll see what happens. That'll do. And I'll be seeing you guys on July 5th.